Welcome to Super Nutrition Academy's Health Class with your host and registered holistic nutritionist, Yuri Elkaim. Tune in each week for up-to-date insights on breaking health news and best practices on how to eat for awesome health. It's time to get smarter, healthier, and regain your sanity in a world of information overload. And don't forget to join Yuri at supernutritionacademy.com so you too can master your nutrition and health.
Welcome to episode 3 in Super Nutrition Academy's Health Class. I'm Yuri Elkaim. It's an early Sunday morning, so I'm a little bit, if I'm sounding a little bit deeper and raspier than usual, that's because I just woken up. But I needed to share some really cool information with you today, so therefore, you know what? I'm jumping out of bed and I'm giving it to you. So yesterday I was speaking with my significant other, Amy, and she's actually been on Weight Watchers for a little while, and she's done this in the past, and it's helped her kind of lose some of the baby weight and get her, back to where she wants to be. And she's also a holistic nutritionist, so it's actually interesting to see her perspectives on Weight Watchers as she goes through the program. And so what we were talking about yesterday was she actually pulled out a Weight Watchers food product that's called, and I just have it, you can hear it right here. I have the packaging right here. So it's called the caramel cinnamon bun. And so she showed this to me and I was like, you know what? This deserves an episode in and of itself. So that's why I woke up this morning, I jumped out of bed and I said, let's get this going. So this is actually going to come back to what we talked about in episode 1, which is really about natural versus synthetics. And we're going to go a little bit deeper today and talk about the difference between a low-calorie food and a healthy food. Because we have been led to believe that calories are bad. So if there's too much fat, too much sugar, then we want to be opting for something that is lower in sugar, lower in fat, lower in calories. That's essentially the thinking that has been propagated by big food companies, media, advertising, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's a select number of people, a segment of the population that's in the know, and if that's you, that's great. If not, I want to help you decipher and make some important distinctions as to what you should be looking for with specific food products. Now, we're talking about Weight Watchers specifically in this podcast, but really this can apply to Jenny Craig. It can apply to anything really, any food company out there that is trying to deceive. I don't know if they're intentionally deceiving people, but obviously Weight Watchers, their goal is to, one of their part of their philosophy is to allow women and men to be able to say yes to the foods they love. Okay, so if you enjoy eating chocolate cake, they want you to be able to enjoy chocolate cake. However, they're going to do their best to make it lower calories so that it has fewer points so that you're not eating as many calories. And that's fine. I mean, that's their philosophy, and that's great. And it's worked for millions of people, and I hope they continue to do what they're doing. What I did want to point out, and I'm not bashing Weight Watchers in this episode by any means, but I do want to use them as an example of some stuff you want to just kind of keep an eye out for. And just this will help you become a smarter consumer as you sift through the aisles of your grocery store, or even if you consider doing something like Weight Watchers, because you can go on Weight Watchers and you don't need their food products. You don't need to buy their bars and their recipes or their meals, because for the most part, they're in boxes and packages, which we talked about in the first episode. It's one of the first rules in terms of living healthy is to avoid that kind of stuff. So anyways, without any further ado, I want to read you the ingredient list on this caramel cinnamon bun. On the front of it, it says that there are 2 points. So if you're on Weight Watchers, you know you have a certain number of points per day. And if you stay within those points, it'll help you lose weight. If you go above those points, you will not lose weight as easily. Okay, so let's look at the nutrition facts first of all, before we get to the ingredients, as I pull this apart here. Okay, so nutrition facts per 1 bar, we're looking at 80 calories. Okay, so right off the bat, okay, that's pretty nice. Only 80 calories. 2 grams of fat. 1.5 of those is saturated fat. No cholesterol. A little bit of sodium. Some carbohydrates. 1 gram of protein. 9 grams of sugar. Yeah, So, I mean, typical kind of stuff. The two things that I want to point out here is really, I mean, for 80 calories, we're looking at 9 grams of sugar. 9 grams times 4 calories per gram. That's how much yield comes out of a carbohydrate or a sugar. So we're looking at 9 times 4, which is 36 calories from sugar. Okay, so right away, that's almost half your calories in this bar from sugar. So that's a little bit of a red flag. So let's go to what I consider more important, which is the actual ingredient list. Because even if the nutrition facts tell you that it's only 80 calories, well, let's look at where those 80 calories are coming from. We've seen now that sugar is almost half of it. Let's have a look at the ingredient list. And I quote here. So I'm reading the ingredient list here. Cinnamon flavored coating, in brackets, sugar, modified palm kernel oil, skim milk, cinnamon soy, lecithin, natural flavor, and salt. That's all part of that first ingredient, the cinnamon flavored coating. Okay. Next, brown sugar, rice flour, sugar, fructose. So already we've got 4 sources of sugar in the first 5 ingredients. Rolled oats, cream, glucose syrup, yet another form of sugar, whole wheat flour, invert sugar, molasses, oligofructose, water, soy protein isolate, dried egg white, milk protein isolate, glycerin, enriched wheat flour, skim milk, canola oil, calcium caseinates, natural and artificial flavors, butter, salt, barley malt extract, cocoa butter, and there's a bunch of other stuff. Okay, so there's probably on this one wrapper 40 ingredients. Okay, so I want to contrast that to something that you may have heard of called Larabar. And Larabar is one of my favorite companies, although they were recently purchased by who are they purchased? I can't even remember who they were purchased by now. Anyways, a big food conglomerate, so hopefully the quality of their stuff stays the same. But I want to give you an example of the difference. So Larabar, the whole thing with Larabar is that it's for the most part organic and raw. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example from the apple pie Larabar. So the ingredients are dates, almonds, unsweetened apples, walnuts, raisins, and cinnamon. Okay, 6 ingredients from Whole Foods. Most of them are in the raw and organic state. So when you're looking at 2 bars like this, the difference is quite substantial. Now, in the Larabar's case, the calories are 190 calories. And that's simply because you're eating more of a whole food, right? So you're getting the fats and stuff from the nuts, you're getting the sugars from the fruit. But this is why it's really important to distinguish between low fat or low calories and a healthy food. So yes, the Larabar has double the calories or a little bit more than double the calories as the Weight Watcher caramel cinnamon bun bar. But if you were to choose between the 2 of them, okay, you're always going to be better off going with a whole food version of something. Okay, so it's so funny because, yes, losing weight comes down to having fewer calories come in versus what you're expending. But at the end of the day, if you can eat better foods, you're better off, because what's going to happen is as you eat more whole foods, more natural foods, you're not going to become ravenous in terms of, you're not going to feel that same addiction, you will, to the kinds of processed foods that we've been so accustomed to. Part of the problem with a lot of processed foods is that they contain ingredients, for instance, like soy protein isolate, which is a form of MSG. And we know that MSG is an excitotoxin, so it excites the neurons in our brain. And that's one of the reasons why we become addicted to foods. Food companies have developed, or food chemists, I should say, have developed ways of finding the perfect combination between sweet, salty, and fatty. And that combination is really what drives our neurotransmitters insane in our brains to really want something and depend on it. We develop this addiction, and there's been numerous books written on this subject, so it's really interesting stuff. But so yes, the Weight Watchers bar has fewer calories. I would definitely always, 100% of the time, choose a Larabar over and above the Weight Watchers bar. Now, for me, I'm not on Weight Watchers. Obviously, I don't need to lose weight. If you are on Weight Watchers, if you're not on Weight Watchers, it doesn't matter. If you want to lose weight, here's what I'd recommend. Go with foods. If they're coming in a box or a package, again, first rule of thumb is we want to really avoid those as much as possible. But if you are choosing between 2 packaged foods, choose the one with the fewest ingredients. And secondly, choose the one that actually has naturally looking ingredients. So when you look at ingredients and you look at the first couple things like cinnamon flavored coating, brown sugar, rice flour, sugar, fructose, rolled oats, cream, glucose syrup, whole wheat flour, and you compare that to dates, raisins, apples, cinnamon, walnuts, almonds, okay, which one seems to have the more natural foods in it? Okay, the latter, right? So you want to always be choosing the naturally occurring foods as much as possible. Yes, they might have higher calories, but just eat a little bit less of those foods and you'll be fine. So that's really it's something that really aggravates me sometimes because we've been deceived by and propagated these messages of. And you see it on commercials all the time, and it's always these women in the offices, and they're thinking about what they're going to have for dinner after their workout or for lunch. They're craving this chocolate or this piece of chocolate cake, and I just find that it propagates that whole weird message that women are the only ones that kind of indulge and only have these cravings, whereas they only show men with their big hungry man meals and all their TV dinners and stuff. We see these messages over and over again, and you kind of tend to believe them over time. So that's one of the reasons why I don't watch the news or commercials for that matter, as much as I can. But again, it comes back to the fact that we just have to be a little bit more conscious of what we're putting in our body and being a little bit more conscious of what we're choosing in the grocery store. So when you start off by looking at these different food products, if you're on Weight Watchers, you can completely do Weight Watchers without using any of their food products. And Amy, again, she understands this topic a lot more than most people in her group, for instance. And so she's not relying on the food bars, the cinnamon bun the caramel cinnamon bun food bars, or the microwave dinners that they have prepared for you, right? We're preparing healthy-ish meals for the most part at home. And then occasionally we'll have like a healthy crepe Saturday. So we might have we'll make a version of crepes that is based on with buckwheat flour, with almond milk. So there's no dairy, there's no wheat in there, and we try to use really healthy ingredients. So that's kind of our little cheat day. We'll make healthy pancakes every now and then. So we're not indulging in a lot of these components like wheat or dairy or lots of sugar that are problematic. There are really, really, really tasty alternatives out there. And you can just search online. I mean, there's a lot of great resources out there for gluten-free stuff, for really low sugar type stuff that doesn't compromise the quality of the ingredients. And that's a big thing for me is, I have a good friend of mine, Helen Wong, who has a great program called the Dessert Angel. And I promote it quite a bit to my clients because it's just such a great resource. Sugar is my downfall. Okay, I've got a sweet tooth like nobody's business. And a lot of people are in the same boat. If you're going to have sweets, if you're going to have sugar, you want to make sure that you're having the highest quality ingredients. And what I love about her Dessert Angel is that it's, amazing like cookies, muffins, cupcakes, types of little snacks and stuff that are great desserts, but they're all based on naturally found whole ingredients. So, using things like chia seeds and flax seeds and stevia as opposed to copious amounts of sugar. It's a great program. So if you want to learn more about that, I believe the website is thedessertangel.com, but it's a great resource for healthy desserts. Yes, they're higher in calories, but again, that's just great because you just eat fewer of them. Okay, why are they higher in calories? Because they contain whole nuts, whole foods, right? Nothing's been extracted from them. They're actually the whole ingredients. So that's what I wanted to discuss in this episode of the Super Nutrition Academy health class. Let's just recap again. The basic premise here is that low calorie doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthy. Okay, so yes, you can lose weight, but do not compromise your health in the process. Always choose naturally occurring whole foods as much as possible. Even if they're higher in calories, just eat slightly fewer of them and you'll be much better off. So that is all for this week's or today's episode of the Super Nutrition Academy health class. It's obviously a lot shorter, but I just had to jump out of bed this morning and share this with you. I know you're going to find it perhaps eye-opening, and I really encourage you to go back to some of your, actually as an action step today, here's what I'd like you to do. Go into your pantry or your fridge. Just start picking out some of the packages, some of the bottles, some of the different things you have in packages with ingredient lists. And I'd like you to go through the ingredient lists and look at, okay, what are the ingredients in this? What are the what am I looking at? And what I'd like you to do is actually, if you're listening to this on iTunes, I'd like you to join me over at the blog at supernutritionacademy.com/blog. And I'd like you to share your insights in the comment section. Just let me know, okay, what you looked at. Here's some of the things I found in the ingredient list for the specific food. And I think it'd be a really cool kind of discussion to get going with people sharing what they're finding in their pantry and kitchen. So that's my action step for you today. I hope you take action on that. And again, it's gonna really kind of open your eyes to some scary stuff, perhaps. So anyways, that's all for today. I'm Yuri Elkaim. Thanks for joining me once again, and we'll speak to you in the next episode.